Lechem, almost Shabbat Shalom. I hope that you are all doing very well. I want to share a few thoughts as we finish the book of Numbers. This week, finished the book of Bimidbar, and with that, we essentially finished really the revelatory books of the Torah. The book of Deuteronomy that we know is basically a month-long speech that Moses gives over as the Israelites are about to enter the land of Israel, and he's reviewing most of the history and adding a few things. But the book of Deuteronomy is his own thing. But with this week, when we finish the book of Numbers, we essentially are really finishing the revealed part of the Torah. So how does the Torah, this section end? With a really mundane section that I want to think about with you today. Chapter 33 of the book of Numbers is just basically a list of the 42 journeys of the Jewish people, of the Israelites, as they left Egypt and they came towards almost about to enter into the land of Israel. So it's a question that we ask all of the time. In my work, I have the great privilege of bringing people around the Holy Land, and one of the questions we ask is about a journey. What's a journey? What are we doing when we go out on a journey? Why are we doing it? And what are we looking for? Are we searching for something? Are we going towards something? Are we running away from something? Do we really want to come back home with a new bag of experiences? What essentially is a journey? It's something that I also love every time we go out with a group into the desert, that we try to ask and think about, like, what are we looking for and what are we doing? And they're all true. They all have their own value, but sometimes it's helpful and interesting to think about, why are we going on this journey? Maybe we're going on an inner journey, especially with a lockdown. What kind of journeys can we go on? So this story, basically the 33rd chapter of the book of Numbers, gives us 42 journeys as this list of what happened to the Israelites as they left Egypt coming towards the land of Israel. So the commentators have a field day trying to understand it. Rashi explains that the enumeration, rather than saying that they wandered for 40 years in the desert, the enumeration displays God's love for the Jewish people, as God took care of them for those 40 years. The Ramban brings the Rambam and explains, not only like Rashi, that it shows this great love for God, for the Jewish people from God. It also talks about how the great, incredible miracles that were happening incessantly, they're happening all the time for the 40 years, because knowing that in the future generations there'll be people that will doubt the miraculous nature of what happened. And so here we're recording for posterity that every step along the way God was taking care of the Jewish people. The Sforno comes from a different direction, and he wants to praise the Israelites for going with God, the faith and the trust that the Israelites put in God time after time, not knowing where they were going necessarily each day, and he's praising the Israelites for trusting and going with God on this journey. But there were two small ideas that I saw that really kind of met my fancy, if you will, and I wanted to share those with you. The first is from the Or Chaim HaKadosh, that he asked the question that the opening verse to chapter 33 says, Veichtov Moshe et Motzehem, that Moses wrote down the journeys. And he says, what are you talking about? Of course Moses wrote it down. Moses wrote down the whole Torah. So why is the Torah going out of his way to say that Moses wrote down these journeys? So he has a fascinating answer that I never saw anywhere else. He says that Moses had his own little pinkas, his own little journal, that he was writing down the mitzvot as God gave them to him. So he says that don't think that as Moses was writing down the Torah, he wrote down all 42 of these journeys on one day. Rather, that in his little journal that he was keeping throughout the 40 years, he would write down, today we were here and we did this, then the other thing, and God taught me this mitzvah. And now, at the end of the 40 years, God says, I want you to copy all of those things from your journal and put it into the Torah. So this idea that Moses was keeping a journal was just really a sweet image for me, that and really humanized Moses as a leader that's also keeping a journal and recording his own thoughts and God's teachings, and a scrapbook, so to speak, of this 40-year adventure through the desert. So that I really loved and I wanted to share with you. And the other is a little bit deeper. The Haktav Kabbalah, he says that the names of these places, don't think that the names are the real names that they really were. It's important to understand that these places are all in the deep wilderness where there was no civilization, and so he talks about how the names of the places had to do with certain events that happened in those places, certain behaviors that the Israelites did, or things that happened to them that were there. So what I thought about this is a really powerful reminder of how when we go off on a journey we can really impact our surroundings. That how we behave, l'tov v'l'ra, whether for good or for bad, bad, what we do in the world has a profound impact. And can really make a difference. That this could be the name of a place that will be called for posterity, for generations and generations to come, based on how I behave. So we should know that when we go off on a journey, it's always good to go on a journey. And we hope that very soon that you'll all be able to come to Israel and we'll journey together here. And for whatever reason we're going on journeys, there we grow and we learn and we discover, and we're surprised by things, and we're strengthened. The journals that we keep and the recordings are for us and for the future generations, and it's both a window into the process of growth and discovery. And then it's really powerful to keep in mind that we can really make a difference, and how we behave has an impact on the world around us. Also, when we're not on a journey in our whole lives, that our behavior has meaning and purpose and can really make an impact around us. So we should use those strengths to do good things and to create a better world around us. And I bless you with the Shabbat Shalom.